stepping up to the NFC Now stage. My former co-host, the man who I used to get on this show each and every week with and talk shop, the man who is responsible for the brand that is right here in the corner, the NFC, the National Fighting Championship, the man, the brains, and the brass behind NFC, none other than my guy, David Oblas. Obleasy.
What's going on, Dr. J? How are you?
Hey man, happy Monday. Good to have you, man. Good to see you.
You too. How was your New Year and Christmas?
It was cool. Happy Hanukkah to you, first and foremost. You know, Christmas was cool. Baby girl got her stuff. I'm actually in her, like, we shoot in her playroom now, right? So like we're taking up her playroom space as we do this podcast. But she has a brand new Barbie dream house over here. She has a brand new kitchen. So her imagination is all over the place. Christmas was great. New Year's was amazing. We set some goals out, set some ideas forward, man. We set the intention for the year. Yeah, so I appreciate you asking, man. How was your New Year's?
It was good. I kind of did the same thing. I wrote down what I did in 2023, not personal, just NFC-wise and the goals for 2024, and sent it back with Jesse Wable and got his stuff. I think we've done that last couple of years with each other. So it was interesting hearing you kind of did the same earlier on.
Yo, one thing I really admire about you, and I'm using that word very tactfully. Like I admire the way that you write down everything. I love that about you. I think that's actually really, really dope.
Oh, yeah. So I still use a paper calendar. For everyone else that uses digital stuff, I still use a paper calendar every day. I have one of these for the last 10 years of my life. So I can go downstairs and see what I've done every day for the last 10 years on paper.
Are you do you get everything knocked out every day?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
A lot of stuff goes from day to day.
Okay. But you'll literally, if you don't finish a task for one day, you will put it on the next day.
Yep, absolutely.
When do you find time to actually write it down? Do you do it at night? Is it religious, or is it throughout the day where you write down what you're going to be doing?
I actually just did it 5 minutes ago before we jumped on here. My stuff that I got to do tomorrow, actually, because I feel like I'm starting to get sick right now. So after this, I'm going to swallow about 2 or 3 sleeping pills and try to go away for the night after this. I don't know if it was with too many people the last few days or what, but I'm starting to feel a little. I didn't sleep a minute last night, so yeah, not much got done today.
When did you start? When did this activity start? I think this is a great conversation that we're having right now, as at the top of the new year. When did you start? How old were you when you started writing this stuff down?
I'm not dinosaur. I do have an iPhone. I have a computer. I do all that stuff, but I've just always been very paper oriented for things I have to do, my to-do list. And I think it came from growing up with my dad. And ironically enough, as we're talking about today, is actually the 5-year anniversary of when my dad passed from lung cancer, January 2nd, 2019. So interesting enough, he was a car salesman or Mercedes-Benz salesman, and he had booklets of all his customers, and my mom would help him put it together in paper, all the customers, Rolodex, sent out birthday cards, Christmas cards, wrote down everything he had to do, talked to his customers the next day, delivered a Mercedes, what stepper was on, everything else that went into it. And I think I just got it from them early on. When I was in college at Auburn, I remember writing everything down I had to do every day on paper back then. And a lot of people have a photogenic memory. A lot of people can remember stuff. I can't. I have zero memory at all. We've talked about it before. You seem very, very good with memory matchups and who fought who and this and that. And Jesse is very good at that also. I'm horrible about stuff like that. That's just not in my memory bank. I'm creative. I like looking at short-term goals and long-term goals, working on the fights. But I can't remember who fought who. It's just not in my DNA. I got to write everything down.
What was your dad's name again?
Steve
Oblas.
Yes, sir.
5 years, on today, what are your emotions like, and how has it been versus last year and the year before and the year before that?
I see what Jenna Lee posts all the time about she lost her mother a little while ago. Looks like a little over a year ago. I remember when that happened. So the bad thing is the good and the bad thing is every year it gets a little bit lesser. But you still have in your memory bank the day your dad passed, the day of his birthday, this and other things. And I still remember I got the call. He went in the hospital right before New Year's Eve. And my dad had lung cancer that went to brain cancer. And then I got the call January 2nd, like 5 a.m. And I knew when my phone rang at 5 a.m., as my dad had been in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, and I didn't recognize the number, I knew it was not going to be a good phone call. And I remember that phone call, and the nurse said, you guys need to get down here soon. And we had been down there every day. We had gone to the hospital every day since he got put in on like December 29th or 30th. But we wouldn't get there till like 9 a.m. We'd leave at 7 or 8 when they kick you out. So we usually get there, I don't know, whatever I said, 7, 8 a.m. And I called my brother, and we had to haul ass to the hospital to get there before my mom did because we didn't want to tell her over the phone. So we drove about an hour to the hospital, my mom about 15 minutes, and we raced down there and got to the parking lot right when she got out of her car. Like, unbelievable timing that we parked at the same time she did. We came from an hour away. And when she saw me and my brother in the parking lot, she just started crying. She knew something wasn't good. And she's like, "You guys got the call?" And we're like, "Yeah, we got the call." And then, we went in there and said our goodbyes and did what we did. And yeah, I still remember that day, January 2nd, 2019.
That's real. Just today, Jenna Lee looked at me. She was like, I hope my mom would be proud of me. When you think about Mr. Steve Oblas, man, what do you think he think about you right now, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my mom even wrote that on my birthday card a couple weeks ago. Even though I'm 48 now, I still get a birthday card from my mom. And she put, your father be proud of what you're doing. I think that's number one of the major things I go for is, I would say leave the sport in a better place than what we found it. And I think a lot of people are doing that. And, make your parents proud, no matter how old you are, make your parents proud, your brother, your sister, your kids. It's not the best sport we're in. It's not the most noble sport or sometimes most respectful sport. But I think what we do is we put in the best light, and we're all going to leave it in a better place than we found it.
Shout out to Steve Oblas. Shout out to Dave Oblas, man. I think that's a perfect transition into, how do you feel about last year, man? 2023. How would you surmise the National Fighting Championships 2023?
Yeah, like you said, I think we killed it earlier. We had 15 events, and again, I wrote it down, so I'll have to look at it in a minute. But we did 9 MMA Muay Thai events in Atlanta. We did 3 in Alabama, 2 in Dothan, 1 in Birmingham. We did 3 jiu-jitsu events last year. We created 2 new title belts, the OG belt and the Battle at the Battery belt. Both of those I think were super cool. And I want to do a lot more of those this year. Like, not every card, but I think a lot of fight cards should have a new belt on them, like a new, cool, fun belt. Whatever the name is, I don't think we need. I think that's one problem we spent last year is too much time thinking of names, creating a name. Just come up with a damn name and put the belt out there and create some buzz behind it. It's good for the promotion. The fans like it. It's terrific for the fighters. The jiu-jitsu event, the Brew Jitsu, was the lowest priced jiu-jitsu event in Atlanta in probably 10 years at only $50. Everyone loved it, packed it out, got rave reviews. We hosted Doug Usher's 85th retirement fight last year. And hopefully we host his 86th comeback fight next year. But yeah, I mean, I think it was huge for us. You came into your own as a ring announcer last year. The podcast took on its own legs last year. Generally did great with the videos. Michael Kelly was a new addition to the marketing, and you see what he did. And I can never give too much credit to anyone out there. Everything in my opinion, is a cumulative effect of everything. Beautiful venues, everything else we do. But the marketing took on a whole nother aspect last year. I mean, every single event except for one sold out. When they sold out like Monday, Tuesday, the week of. When you get that last buzz going, we didn't even need that week of buzz because 8 of the 9 events sold out. The only one that didn't sell out was the first Halloween fight, October 14th. That didn't sell out, but the following week was huge, and that one did. So it might have just been 2 events in 1 week, but they were both still big. So I think this year is going to be just as big, if not better. More jiu-jitsu events, more fight nights. I think I'm going to slow down Alabama a little bit. The point of Alabama was to grow the NFC and expand in another state. Between the 3 events there, I probably lost $25,000. So I kind of learned Alabama, Georgia is our number one responsibility, in my opinion. Um, I wanted to grow, but it didn't work out terrific. We'll probably do at least one this year, but 3 might have been a stretch.
Lot to break down there. We'll start on the Alabama situation. I do think there was a positive in that. The last time we were at the Battery, man, we saw my man Capshaw. Came from Alabama. He
Justin
was
Jamar.
You know what I'm saying? Justin Jamar. Like, we were able to get some of those fighters to come to Atlanta, and that's a positive, right? Expand it. Just go out there, see what it looks like. What do they say? Scared money don't make money, right? Maybe you might lose some, but I don't think it's all negative. And that's, again, from my perspective, I wasn't the one shoveling out the dough or dealing with the final ticket. So I just want to put that perspective out there. Secondly, you said 15 shows this year?
I think we did 9 MMA Muay Thai in Atlanta, 3 in Alabama, and 3 jiu-jitsu shows, I believe. So a total of 15.
That's amazing. I mean, there's 12 months in a year. That means there was multiple shows per month. Just maybe 1.12 shows per month, but that's still an amazing amount. And that's something that we can look back on and be like, man, that's a really great thing. The addition of O'Kelly. I don't think I don't think people see O'Kelly. So that people don't know. Sometimes he's not somebody that's tangible where you can like touch him and feel him and see him all the time. Mike O'Kelly is an amazing addition to the National Fighting Championship team, and him and Jenna Lee, they make like the Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan combo. You know what I'm saying? Or the Kyrie and LeBron back in the 2010s, if just to get a little closer to y'all. Or the
I sometimes joke that Jesse and I are like Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Yeah. And no one now knows who the hell Joe Montana or Jerry Rice are.
I was going to say
Jesse probably Googling who they are.
The Hazmat Chimaev and Darren Till combo that was going on, the bromance that was happening. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy, like how you had the foresight to be like, hey, we need somebody on marketing, and it just, when you paired it with Jenna Lee, it took it to the next level, and like the visuals went to the next level, and so that's beautiful. The team grew. Like, shout out to the interns, man. Shout out to the interns for pushing us to be better. As you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to them. And yeah, like I appreciate the love. Like, I feel a lot more comfortable in what I'm doing on a week-to-week basis on the pod, and then also on a month-to-month basis whenever we go out to the shows. It's just a level of comfort. I feel like we grew as an organization, and when I say we, I mean that. Like, I take pride in what we do here with the National Fighting Championship, man. So I think there's a lot to be proud of, man. So if y'all could, everybody in the comments, go ahead, man, drop a hand clap, some snaps, man, to a beautiful, a wonderful, successful 2023, which got us prepared for 2024. Now, what are some things in your opinion that you feel like we could build upon, and what are some things that you're looking to implement?
Yeah, a couple of things I wrote down are we've got 3 great venues in Monday Night Brewing in Midtown, the Battery here in Smyrna and Cobb, and then Tannery Row in Beaufort. So we kind of have all 3. I still want to lock down one other venue. I've talked to you a little bit about it. I think I've got to make 1 or 2 more trips out there just to convince myself whether that's the right venue or not. Looking to open up a couple of sports, like want to get more involved in boxing. Bare knuckle fighting is definitely coming to Atlanta. It's going to hopefully be approved, become legal April, May, June, something like that. Some things want to do there. We've got Bolo coming March 1st at the Battery versus Ismail Muhammad. I think that's going to be huge. Got a UFC Hall of Famer that will be at that fight March 1st that I can't announce just yet, but it'll be pretty cool having him there. Just expanding on what we did and did successfully. All 3 of our venues love us. They want us back as many times as we can. I've already locked in the 3 Battery dates for this year. Put them on the calendar. Tickets are on sale. Meeting with Monday Night Brewing later this week to see if we can go ahead and lock down dates with them and get more stuff on paper. So we're not just working 1 month out. We're working 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Like right now, we look at it. We've got January 20th at Monday Night Brewing. It's already over 700 tickets. All tables and seats have been sold out for a week or 2. There's only 200 standing tickets left. So January 20th, Monday Night Brewing. March 1st with the Battery, 420. I mean, tremendous marketing right there. April 20th, no brainer. And then we might even throw in a late March show at Monday Night Brewing, working on that, but also work on the May, June, and July calendar right now. So, where I see other promoters always working just like one show out, I'm trying to get us where we're 5, 6, 7 shows out right now. And everyone knows the dates, from fighters to gym owners to staff, even to other promoters when they're looking to plan their schedule out, can look and say, okay, NFC's website has them, January 20th, March 1st, March 28th, April 20th, and May. Just makes it a lot easier for everyone to work around.
Let's be real. Ain't nobody doing that, right? In the promotion
there's
game.
really no one doing that.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of the UFC, like nobody like on a local standpoint is doing that.
No, not at all. And then one huge thing, I think I announced one of them. The goals are to work with 2 major companies as they come into Atlanta this year. I can't announce one until they announce it. But the other's bare knuckle fighting. Not only do I want to put on NFC bare knuckle, but I'm talking to them every couple of weeks to be a part of their show when they come to Atlanta. And that's not just for Dave Oblas to be a part of it, but that's, Jesse Wable to help matchmake with them. That's maybe you have do something with them, probably not announced for them, but maybe something backstage and some other capabilities. Have Kimberly Sargent involved in something, Jim, Zach, Charlene, bring in the whole team and say, what do you guys need to put on a successful show when you guys come to Atlanta, and help them see what experience we can get for everyone that's a part of the team. I also want to get our broadcasting better. We have Zach, we have Jim, we have Lawson on the microphone, we have you, we have Kimberly, we have Kayla out there. How can everyone get more out there? How can we do a little bit like UFC? We never show the camera on Jim and Lawson and Zach out there. Do some little footage with them and stuff like that. Working to get a roving backstage camera for the dressing rooms to interview the fighters backstage on the big screens and see their crowd go crazy as,
they just hitting the pad. They just hitting it.
Just hitting the pads, just doing something like that after it. Or once they get back, they're all bloody, Kimberly or Kayla interviewing them back there. Like, I think there's a lot more fun things that we can do. And I think that's what we do. We don't really just put on fights. Everything should be fun and interesting and different.
1,000%. Again, ladies and gentlemen, being joined here by none other than Dave Oblas, the Small Business Owner of the Year. A man who I used to be on the show with each and every week, man. It's good to talk with you, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we get back on the pod, it's like no time has passed. NFC Now, show number 62 that we're on right now. There's a couple people that again, people that are not forward facing all the time, that we don't shout out enough, that I don't shout out enough on this podcast. I got to give a lot of love to my man, Dennis Aguirre. Yeah. He's taken the after the fight visuals to the next level. The ones that are posted the night of, like right after the fight. He's taken those to the next level. Ashley and Nick Sprayberry at the door all the time. Your friendly faces. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, a lot of y'all go to a job, the people who work the front door, you know what I'm saying? Like, you notice them every day, but if they're not there, you notice that they're not there. And so shout out to Ashley and Nick Sprayberry.
I mean, even as he's listening right now, Sean Corning, our old glove person, every time a fighter used to come to the cage, they'd have the wrong gloves on. An amateur would have pro gloves. A pro would have amateur gloves. The shin guards wouldn't fit. They'd be a medium, but they're wearing an extra large out there. And that job right there, and how welcoming he is, and he's gone to learn it over time. All the fighters recognize him and know him. We'd get all problems. I always say during the fighters meeting, don't go get your gloves till you have your tape and your gauze on, because then you wear a whole different size when you put your tape and your gauze on. They'd all go there, and now he directs them. I ain't giving you your gloves till you come back with tape and gauze on.
You can't replace that. Like, the people behind the scenes, you just can't. Like, let's just say if Sean Corning were to go somewhere else and he wasn't there, like, that would really throw a wrench in the operation. Like, these are cogs in our operation that if you don't have that little nut and bolt, this whole operation ain't really functioning the way that it should function. And so I just want to make sure we give those people behind the scenes like their just due. I know shout out to the commission too. I know the commission isn't a part of the National Fighting Championship, but we do have to work together in order to throw a show each and every time that we go out there. So again, Sean Corning, Ashley, Nick Sprayberry, Kimberly Sargent, Charlene Dixon, Charlene for real. The person who's moving the fastest on fight night is Charlene. Let's like we don't get her on the podcast that often, but again, this don't move unless Charlene is moving. Jesse Wable, obviously, he's pound for pound, but I just want to make sure we shout out the whole entire team that makes it happen. If I'm forgetting somebody, please forgive me. Our cage cleaners. You know what I'm saying? Our cage cleaners, like the little things like that, they just make the night move. Was my man Jacob Howling?
Jacob Howland working with the wrestling now. Even Brett Walters backstage.
Brett Walters.
Brett just came on a few months ago. He's only done 3 or 4 shows now, but I felt like we needed. Charlene's always running around doing 100 things. I said, hold on, what if we get someone backstage just to work with the fighters? Anything the fighters and trainers need, Brett is responsible for. And as a former fighter, former trainer, well, current trainer still, he knows what the guys need. He's usually on top of it before they have a problem, but just makes it a lot easier.
Addison Graves.
Yeah.
Like Uncle Addison, you know what I'm saying? Like Addison Graves. There's so many people who make this operation work that aren't forward facing, that aren't the ones that are always talking the way I'm running my mouth all the time. You don't see them every week, but that doesn't mean that they're not actually like contributing big time to the team. When you watch football, the offensive line gets no love, but if the offensive line ain't blocking, the receivers ain't getting the ball, the running back is not getting through the hole. And so I just want to make sure that we shout out the entire National Fighting Championship, the team that makes it happen, and then the fans. Shout out to the people who tune into this podcast every week. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the people who don't even tune in live, but tune into the rerun. Shout out to everybody who just creates that buzz. That's what creates the ticket sales. That's what it's all, as you said, everything works in unison. And so
even while you're throwing that out there, we can't I want to make sure we don't leave the people out, but facts. Ray Warren has been my ambulance guy for all 21 years I've been doing it. So not to go back too long ago, but I did a show in Gainesville, Georgia called Painesville and Gainesville that I lost about 10 grand on. And I made him hold the check for 2 months. And he still reminds me of that. But Ray Warren and now Howell have been my ambulance guys for 21 years. The fight doctors, Dr. Traub is there almost every single event. Dr. Huratsky is there as many as he can get to. Brad Hodgson is backstage almost every event. These guys are guys that are there only at NFC events. And then in a UFC, Bellator, big shows, they'll be at their bare knuckle. But when you go to an NFC show, we have the best doctors, the best stitch guys, stuff like that. And that's huge for the fighters and trainers. Just
people know what they're doing. People know what they're doing. And those familiar faces, that matters to make sure that in 2023 we dominate. And also that in 2024, who is continuing to make it work. My dad says the ring announcer who stepped up when you got the bubble guts. You're damn right. It's a total team effort. Again, ladies and gentlemen, NFC Now, show number 62, joined here by David Oblas. You mentioned a little bit earlier the different things, the different types of rule sets that you look forward to having into the NFC cage, the bare knuckle. Now, my question is, and this is something that came up on the last time that we did the podcast. I had my man Keith Tremage. We were talking about the extreme rules, and we'll figure out a name to that. I've been calling it extreme rules on the podcast. I absolutely loved it. But then he also brought up the point, not everybody's going to want to do this because this is a completely different sport. Now, when it comes to bare knuckle, do we have the bodies? Do we have the participants to step in there and do a one fight, much less a card full of bare knuckle?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have enough for a full card. I've said that from the beginning. And I think as it gets bigger, we'll have more and more people. But I've also said it's not for amateurs. It's only for pros that have had at least one pro fight. So that slims down the pool quite a bit. And then just the guys that want to do it and their trainers who allow them to do it. But in one night, this is what I'm envisioning for NFC in 2024. In one night, I want to do in the cage MMA. I guess we're calling Muay Thai and kickboxing. Where's my thumb? MMA 1, Muay Thai and kickboxing. Let's call 1. I want to do jiu-jitsu. I want to do wrestling. I want to do bare knuckle fighting. And then I am going to push in the next month or two to get pro boxing legalized in a cage in Georgia, which has never happened before. So my goal is on one fight card to do 6 different sports in one single fight night, which would be unbelievable to do.
Yeah, that's unprecedented.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say unprecedented. Confusing also. It'll definitely be confusing when you announce it. This is 3 rounds. This is 4 rounds. This is 2 minutes. This is 3 minutes. Confusing, but I think it'd be fun and different. We started with the wrestling a couple months ago and we didn't know what to expect. And now we've got a lot of wrestlers that have been hitting Jacob Hallam up being on the wrestling card. You've got Anthony Smith, I think, coming in January for the second time. We got Ronald Humphreys competing. So I think the things that we do, people enjoy seeing.
The champion, Alex Gordy, just says we need combat BJJ in Georgia. I'm gonna take it a step further. Not even just a step further. We talked about combat BJJ. I like the tag team BJJ. I feel like we did it one time and it just went away. I love like the tag team. I love that. Even like the wrestling. That was cool. I'm not even a wrestling fan, but seeing it in person, I was like, okay, I liked it. It was a little sprinkle of something new.
Yeah.
And so
maybe we add that to the card. So that'll be 7 pro sports in one night.
I don't you know what I'm saying? I think there's an appetite there, and just looking at the comments, there is an appetite there. So I'm interested. And shout out to you, Dave, for not being afraid to try some. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, even the other things I'm envisioning, I still need to talk to other people about it. But there used to be what's called a corporate fight night in Atlanta. There used to be 2 of these different corporate fight nights. And I don't know if you've ever seen them in the old days. But it used to be taking people like you or I, people that are 30, 35, 40 years old or whatever, that train at all these gyms that don't want to fight MMA, that don't want to get in there on a real NFC card per se and fight amongst the Alex Gordy and Travell Miller and TJ Holtz, because we're just look damn horrible. And it's taking us 35 or 40-year-olds and matching us versus each other and putting on a fight card. And they used to call it corporate fight night, just people with daytime jobs as doctors, attorneys, whatever it might be, just your average person that trains at Warrior Jiu-Jitsu, ATT, Knuckle Up, whatever it might be, X3 Sports, and just putting them in a more relaxed event. They used to be red carpet events, black tie. The fighters wouldn't make ticket commission because they didn't need the money. They're wealthy as it is, but they used to all pick a charity, and then the promoter would give 25, 30% of their sales to that charity. So it benefit a lot of different charities. So I'm working to bring that back this year. I've never done it. Other promoters have done it. During COVID, they went away. So I've talked to a lot of trainers about that, and I want to do it. And it's also the gym trainers I've talked to, the gym owners love it because it's going to be a way for them to kind of tell people in their gym as New Year's resolutions, hey, we're going to do a fight on March 1st, April 1st. We're going to give you a 12-week program. We're going to give you diet cutting. You got to show up at least 5 times a week, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a way to motivate their students in there and also create a gym camaraderie behind the Julien Virgin that might be fighting or whoever it might be.
I'm taking all Waffle House employees in a corporate fight night. That's who I want on my squad if I'm a betting man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, NFC Now show number 62. David, we got my man Tommy Brown sitting in his car right now, man. Hopefully that thing is not running. We're going to be getting to him next. Few more things before we do part ways. When you look back at 2023, man, and the year that was, what was the time that made you the most proud?
I think you just said, I was talking about how I got to write everything down because I can't remember. I think possibly the time that I had 3 back surgeries in March and I couldn't do anything. And the fight community that visited me in the hospital and the fight community that stepped up and got everything done. I didn't miss a fight when I was gone. I did have to leave a couple quite early. I remember the Battery I had to leave early. And then Tannery Row, I left as Essence. I still remember it when Essence made her walk to the cage is when I made my walk out of the venue because I was in so much pain. So just everyone stepping up, and that took a lot of Charlene and Jesse to point them out, probably more than anybody. But everyone knows how to do this just as well as I do. There's another promoter that says he has a secret sauce to it. Every time I talk to him, he has a secret sauce. I don't think there's a secret sauce. It's just working your ass off, being organized, everything else, treating people right, et cetera, et cetera. But, just seeing that when I went down, the company didn't dissolve and go away.
Mm.
You know, that's my number one thing from last year, I think.
Man, you know what? Now that, like, that you say that, I'm happy that like you said that, because like that was a moment. That really was a moment to see like how everybody did snap into action, even when you weren't there. But that just goes to show the type of foundation that you built to where like, hey, like I could remove myself from the equation for a little bit of time, because again, this thing can't work without the brainchild that is David Oblas. But just to see how it still functioned without you being there, everybody stepped up and took pride in what they were doing. There was no like, hand biting or no fidgeting. It was just people out there really wanting to make sure that this thing continued to move smooth. So that's beautiful. Now, what's one big goal? Like, when we have this conversation this time next year, man, what's one thing you want to say that NFC completed?
I want to do not only more events than we've ever done in Atlanta. That's one goal, but also make sure all the events are successful. We had a couple that weren't tremendously successful last year. I don't want to mess any up this year. I don't want to lose money on any. I don't want to have bad crowds. I don't want to have unorganization on anything. I want everything to go seamless. We've changed a lot of rules with the athletic commission lately. They've been tremendous to work with. It's taken a lot, and this is not to my credit, but it's taken a lot of years to get the athletic commission to whereas they to as strong as they are right now and as interested in they are in combat sports. It's been a number of years. And I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. It's been a lot of years of having an athletic commission that wasn't truly interested in MMA, Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, and now you have where all five of them are extremely interested in it. They come to events. Most notably, Clay Bennett is now the uh, chairman of the athletic commission. Dr. Traub is the vice chairman. Seth Milliken is a purple belt. Rick Thompson has been on the commission for 10, 15 years, and he's a blue belt. Dr. Chris Haratsky is a black belt and comes to all the fights. I mean, you have the strongest athletic commission in the country, I think, and that's what's helped push a lot of things through. And it's going to help push a lot more things through, I think.
So when you just to follow up on what you just said, when you say like events that don't flop, when you look back at 2023, were there red flags ahead of time that
Yeah,
you
I think
noticed that you kind of like bypassed?
The Alabama events were red flags that I didn't want to pay attention to because I wanted to be successful and launch into a second state. So those were red flags. Doing two events in 7 days at Tannery Row as two Halloween shows was risky, but I think the first one sold about 550 tickets. The second one was a sellout at 900. So it was difficult. It was also stressful leaving the cage up there for a week in case anyone fucked it up while I was up there. You know, any enemies went up there and cut the vinyl or anything like that,
Yeah.
or took a hammer to it. So it was stress. You know, two events in the week was stressful, and then we did in December. We did December 8th at the Battery and December 10th Brew Jitsu at Monday Night Brewing. So that was two events in 3 days. I didn't exactly know how that was going to go because I knew a lot of people would be exhausted, but it was MMA and jiu-jitsu, so it was two different crowds and two different staff for the most part. But it went really well. Both of those were killer. So yeah, so I think now just preparing for these events and like we've talked about, and you and I, Armin and Saturday, we're talking more about is how to figure out exactly this banquet. I'm flipping between in my head which venue to use for the awards banquet and what date to do it on. So I think we need to finalize that. And Jesse and I have kind of come up with some creative awards for the banquet, getting more Hall of Famers in there that we've held back for a few years that are deserving, get them to the awards banquet. So, hopefully making this the awards banquet the best one we've had in a few years.
I actually did mean to ask you about that. Do we have any developments that you can share with the people?
Yeah, I guess I really don't. That's kind of what sucks. I hate Christmas and I hate New Year's because everyone gets slack for 2 weeks. Like I
Facts.
couldn't get a hold of Monday Night Brewing's management for the last 2 weeks, and finally talking to them tomorrow. So I mean, what I'm trying to go with is you and I have talked about a little bit at Tannery Row. We've got the big screen available, so if we have videos, we can kill it on the videos. We have the stage available, which is great for when people come up and accept awards. The cons are I don't with all the tables spread out, I think people would be rude and not pay attention to us as much when people are talking because
Hey,
the tables are so spread out.
hey, FYI to everybody watching this, don't be rude. Shut the F up as we sit here and do this. Like these are things that I feel like we could tailor that and we can have like safe words. Like
I
when I
think you
say,
got to
ooh,
do.
woo, when I
I
say,
think
ooh,
you got to do
woo,
one awards banquet pre-show before whatever date we do it on. I think there's got to be a pod that week just as an awards banquet pre-show to talk to like the finalists, go over the awards, drum it up a little bit,
we can do
maybe have
that.
the Hall of Famers on, but also give instructions like Julian's top 5 things: shut the F up, come dressed up, stuff like that. Have at least 2 drinks because the bar needs to make money.
We can make that like that.
Yeah,
That is an easy ask. We can make that happen, Dave. We can
yeah.
make that happen. Like
So I think we do that. So the 2 debates are the venues. That's the pros and cons of Tannery Row. Monday Night Brewing, I think we know the pros. If we do the dancing, it's open. I think we have tables and chairs. It's more open. It's more respectful. People will be there to pay attention more. The con is there's no stage, and the con is there's no screen. They have a screen.
They
But it's
got the
not a very good
projector.
screen.
It's
Yeah,
not great.
it's not
They
great.
do have the risers. I
Yeah.
mean,
So we can do
yeah.
a little bit. I favor Monday Night Brewing. I like Monday Night Brewing more than Tannery, in my opinion. And then the dates. Like right now, I'm looking at dates, and January is no good because we still got to do the vote and we still got to send the plaques. January 20th, we have the fights. So the number one date, the 2 dates I'm looking at. Well, first we were talking about a Sunday. I've talked to a couple people. No one wants a Sunday. People
Y'all
want to
drop
do
it in the comments. As David's talking,
yeah.
let us know what you're thinking. As David's like Saturday, Sunday. Continue, Dave, please.
So Sunday, even when I talked to Jesse's like, no Sunday. He's like, I wake up at 4 a.m. on Mondays for work. Everyone else wakes up early on Monday. He's like, no, not a Sunday. And I was like, I agree. And we can't do during the week or a Friday. So Saturday is the only day. So the 2 dates I've got that might be options are Saturday, January 27th or Saturday, February 3rd. And if we're looking at Monday Night Brewing as a number 1 location, we've got the fight there on January 20th. I rent the tables and chairs from Michael Fortner, the fighter. His mom owns a company that rents tables and chairs. I rent them from her. I'm trying to negotiate with her, leaving the tables and chairs there for a week from January 20th to 27th. Because Monday Night Brewing has no tables or chairs. So if we can leave them there for a week from the fight, we now have tables and chairs, which is about $2,500 to rent all that. It's not cheap. I can't leave them all there till February 3rd. 2 weeks is too long of an ask. And if we can't do that, that might eliminate Monday Night Brewing. So that's the challenge there. But Saturday, January 27th, I was trying not to do that because Warren has a fight night on that night in Canton. I don't like talking about them much because they talk a lot of crap about me and the NFC on Facebook. So I've ignored them for a year. So I'm trying to do everything to not do that date. But I've asked like 20 people their opinion. Everyone's like, dude, we're not going out to that event. We don't know who's fighting, and we're not going out all the way at Cannon, And I don't mean this to be rude, but if I look at 600 nominations that came in on the nominations thing, over 600, not one fight from that show or other shows was nominated for any awards. So the people that won the awards were all from NFC or other bigger shows. So no one I've talked to is really going out there. So that's a challenge I'm having. Which date to do it on? January 27th or February 3rd?
Y'all let us know in the comments.
And we can't go past February 3rd because then you're just getting too far out into the year. So
1,000%. 1,000%.
So that's a challenge I'm having.
Well, we'll come back on the podcast and we'll see what everybody has to say. Again, y'all, this is your opportunity to let your voice be heard to the man himself. David Oblas, February 27th. January 27th, February 3rd. Give us your ideas. What would be the perfect location for the event? He just laid out the pros and cons of both. Would y'all be willing to drive to Tannery Row on a Saturday? Would y'all be willing to shut the hell up so we can have a decent time and a respectful time? And just let us know, because we want to make sure that we give y'all the award ceremony that you need. We do need to get a push on the voting, but people are gonna vote. The voting doesn't need to be open. The voting doesn't need to be open for 8 weeks. It needs to be open for a week or 10 days. 10 days, we good.
We're still have over 2,000 or 3,000 votes in 10 days easily. Like that won't be a problem. It's 10 days to open up for voting, a week or 10 days to send it to print and have 100 plaques. made. We're getting one special belt made for someone as well that we're paying extra respects to. And even if we did on January 27th, the banquet's usually like 4 to 6 p.m. So if you want to go to the other show, you're more than welcome to. If you want to stick around and dance and the after party and have a good time, you're welcome to stick around. So even if
the
it's on
only
the same
fight
day,
promotion we acknowledge is the NFC. Straight up. Just like the only Christopher we acknowledge is, Wallace. We don't acknowledge Christopher Columbus. We acknowledge Christopher Wallace, Biggie. We don't acknowledge no other local fight promotions. We not hearing that. Respect to them, but this is about us. The 27, I'm seeing some 27s in the comments right now.
The 27th has been the overwhelming day that everyone's picked.
I feel like, man,
that's what I've heard nonstop.
Is it too late? What's today? The 2nd? Today's the 2nd?
Yeah. So I'm going to decide by this weekend. Like I'm waiting for Monday Night Brewing to get back to me tomorrow. I was waiting for you to get back to me. You and I will talk Saturday about other ideas. So by Friday, Saturday should be able to figure out the date and how it's going to be done. So.
Most definitely. Shots fired. Y'all funny. No disrespect to nobody else. It is nothing but love here on NFC Now. Again, I'm Julien
not going to
Virgin.
inconvenience 99 people to convenience one person. I mean, everyone has told me that date's the work. We have 2 guys we're putting in the Hall of Fame. Their gym has basically said they can only attend the 27th, that they can't attend February 3rd because of an out-of-town trip for them. So I don't know. I feel like I'm not shooting fireworks off. I feel like I'm trying to be respectful. And even do it early from 4 to 6. If people want to go to Canton, they can go to Canton. I'll even have a bus. Get on the bus.
Not the bus. David, before we part ways, man, final thoughts. What do you want to leave me in the NFC community with today?
Man, thank you all for a tremendous 2023. Our goal is to do a best job for, the fighters, the trainers, the athletic commission, promote the gyms, help gym owners make more money and get more clients. And yeah, my goal is to make money and have a good time, but that's going to come naturally out, man.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And hopefully everyone enjoys our fights. You get something out of it. Helps push your career to whatever's next for you and everyone else here as well. And hopefully you talk about the pod later, because I'm interested in hearing what you said were your ideas. So I'm going to keep watching and see if you drop your ideas later, and I'll hit the comment section.
I'll drop a couple jewels before the show is over. But David, it's always a pleasure to get onto the podcast with you, man. Nothing but love. Give me pounds before you get up out of here. Boom. Blow it up. Make it rain. Ladies and gentlemen, the small business owner of the year, my man, David Oblas. Nothing but love.